Douglas Cooling and Heating, serving the Birmingham area for 38 years. 988-3706. That's Douglas.
This is the Weather Xtreme video for Sunday, January the 30th. I'm meteorologist Brian Peters, and we've got some changes on the way from this beautiful spring-like weather we've had. Although temperatures will be springish today. Let's get right to some sky cams. There's Jasper this morning, and a little hard to see. There's a few clouds out there, but the sun certainly peeking over the horizon at this slightly later hour than I usually do. And there's a beautiful shot as we look west from Mount Cheehaw. And again, you can see some of the high cirrus clouds, and it looks like maybe some actually middle altocumulus or altostratus clouds in there. On a satellite image, you can see that a good deal of clouds from the southwest have overspread much of the southeastern U.S. overnight ahead of the next storm system that will be bringing us some rain later today and into tonight, and then again on Tuesday, Tuesday being pretty much the main event in the upper atmosphere. The system responsible for our rain today is coming out of Texas, a little short wave, but it is leaving behind the main energy, the main trough, back to the west, although that trough is now going to act a little differently than we were looking at yesterday. I always hate it when I see very elongated troughs like the GFS was suggesting, but that's not what the GFS is suggesting today. Temperatures across the country, wow, look at how they're surging warmth up there in Texas and the lower Mississippi River Valley as temperatures climb into the 60s and 50s. Ahead of the next storm system and across central Alabama, we're, a good, 15 degrees or so warmer than we were at the same time yesterday for some places, not all. Up there at Fort Payne, they're only about 5 degrees warmer, but certainly we're seeing the warmth. Along with the warmth, we're seeing some showers and some patchy light rain. Some of this is not reaching the ground, especially over Mississippi and Alabama, but for the most part, down there in the northwestern Gulf area of Louisiana and Texas, that is getting to the ground, but it is fairly light. Lots of winter weather advisories, watches, warnings in effect for the mid-section of the country ahead of that storm system, especially the darker purplish color. The pinkish is winter weather advisories, but the purple is a lot of winter storm watches in effect for the area stretching all the way from Oklahoma City all the way up to Chicago. QPF-wise, boy, I tell you, looking at the QPF in the central part of the country, if they get 2.1 inches of liquid, that's 21 inches of rain based on the standard of 10 inches of snow per 1 inch. But across the southeastern U.S., ours will all be rain. And we're looking at, for Alabama, we're looking at on the order of probably a good 1 to 2 inches with potentially a little bit more than that for some isolated spots. Storm Prediction Center for today, day 1, is outlooking a slight risk of severe in East Texas and western Louisiana, edging right up to the Arklatex area there of Louisiana, Texas, and Arkansas. And we're going to skip day 2, for which there is no outlooked area, but day 3, the slight risk extends from about Houston over to Mobile and up to about Jackson, so including the southwest corner of Alabama. We're still going to need to watch this system for the evolution of it all, as I mentioned yesterday. All right, here's the 06Z GFS model run, and here comes the rain. This is noon today, and much of the rain by noon is probably going to be off to our west. As a matter of fact, I think much of the day will be dry, especially for central Alabama. Of course, the first places to get some rain will be the western sections of the state, but it looks like probably the best rain chances will come late in the afternoon and into the evening hours, and especially overnight. Our little trough zips by very quickly. This is noon on Monday, and you can see the trough just off of the Savannah, Georgia area, and with that, we take much of the rain off. And while the GFS is still painting some very light amounts, I think for the most part after Monday morning, I think we'll stay cloudy but be relatively dry with maybe a little patchy drizzle kind of situation, a little patchy light rain here and there, but nothing of any significance. The major event heads our way on Tuesday, the 1st of February. Boy, January is already just about gone. Isn't that amazing? And with that, we see a low developing in the lower Mississippi River Valley at midday on Tuesday, and certainly much colder air behind that. As you can see, the 540 line dipping down to near the Big Bend country of Texas. Now let's take an intermediate time. This is midnight on Tuesday night or a very early Wednesday morning, however you'd like to look at it. And the low, the surface low, is up over western Kentucky with the front extending down into central Alabama and down into the Gulf Coast. So it looks like the greatest threat for any potential severe weather is going to come probably on Tuesday afternoon and into Tuesday evening. Now we'll be watching that because certainly, as you saw from SPC, they're watching it and outlooking the area to the south. So it's going to be a matter of how much and how fast the dew points can recover. We're definitely going to be in the warm sector, so we need to be watching how high those dew points can climb. And as I've said before, sometimes the recoveries can be a lot faster than you think they will, so we'll be watching that. But in the meantime, the system heads on out into the central and eastern Great Lakes in the upper atmosphere, and that takes the low up into the mid-Atlantic states. And, of course, that's going to present some winter weather problems for New England and parts of New York and over into the eastern Great Lakes area, and of course already presenting winter weather issues as we saw on the watch warning map. By the 3rd, Thursday, the cold air definitely diving into Texas and a cooler for us on Thursday, but with the trough still hanging back just a little bit for Friday at midday. It means that we're not going to just plunge right down into the deep freeze, but we certainly will get back to colder air. And you can see on Friday, while the threat is not high at the moment, we'll have to watch how this evolves too, because there is some potential for a winter weather threat in parts of the southeastern U.S. I think right now the winter weather threat is quite minimal, but we'll be watching the evolution of that. And you can see that a couple of pieces of the energy, one over the eastern Virginia, and one over southern Indiana, so they phase up the trough, so it's going to be a rather chilly morning as we start the day on Saturday. And you can see the 540 line dipping down into North Georgia and North Alabama. And then finally on Sunday, we're going to recover pretty quick with more or less a ridge over the area and a bit of a southwesterly flow. And so as you use the 540 line as just kind of a guide there, you can see it surges northward up into the Ohio River Valley, so we should warm up at the end of next weekend. Now, going out into Voodoo Country, another trough and another wet system and the potential for some winter weather, once again with this kind of flow. And then finally at the end of the period, around the 14th, Valentine's Day, don't forget Valentine's, we have recovered nicely, so we're back into the recovery kind of phases where we get warmer temperatures in between systems. But here comes another one down the west coast of the U.S., and that will potentially be another system for us later on, especially since we have moisture. Well, thanks for tuning into the Weather Extreme video. James Spann should be back in the saddle once again tomorrow morning with the next edition around 7 o'clock or so. In the meantime, I hope that you have a very good Sunday, and Godspeed.
Each day there are new stories to tell about the people who live here and the place we call home.
All of the faces that I see, all of the places close to me, they're all part of all the best things about home.
Sharing your stories on ABC 3340, Alabama's news leader.